Silence. It's the language of the powerful, the weapon of those who command without raising their voice. Most people can't stand it. They fill every quiet moment with nervous chatter, opinions, and explanations, trying to be understood, trying to be liked. But the powerful don't chase understanding. They create mystery. They let others wonder. Because the moment you stop explaining yourself, the world starts guessing who you really are. And that's when power begins. In this episode, we're diving into the hidden psychology that makes you silent, feared, and powerful. We'll explore Machiavelli's ancient wisdom, psychological warfare used by history's greatest strategists, and the modern mental discipline that turns quiet people into unshakable forces. Let's begin. Lesson 1: The Power of Strategic Silence. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise man does at once what a fool does at last." But he could have added, "A wise man speaks only when the words are stronger than his silence." Powerful people understand that silence is a form of control. Create space, a void that forces others to fill it. When you say less, others project more. They reveal their intentions while trying to guess yours. And in that psychological imbalance, you gain the upper hand. Think of Vito Corleone in The Godfather. He rarely speaks, but when he does, every word lands like a blade. That's not charisma. That's measured silence. Silence makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability makes people careful around you, even afraid. Be comfortable in your silence. Let others stumble over their words, while you sit in calm authority. Lesson 2: Mystery commands respect. Carl Jung said, "Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling." Mystery isn't about pretending. It's about not giving people full access to your emotions or thoughts. Because the more others know about you, the more they can use it against you. In psychology, this is called informational asymmetry. When one person knows more than the other, control naturally shifts to them. People who talk too much give away power unconsciously. They reveal weaknesses, desires, and emotional patterns. But when you stay composed and measured, you deny them access. Example: in negotiation, silence after an offer is deadly. The other person starts justifying, explaining, even lowering their demand, just to break the tension. That's not coincidence. That's psychological dominance. You don't owe anyone your inner world. Guard it. Let your mystery speak louder than your words. Lesson 3: Control the rhythm of conversation. Every powerful person knows this law. The one who controls the pace controls the outcome. Machiavelli observed that impulsive rulers often destroy themselves, while calm ones dominate because they dictate tempo. When you slow down, others feel the weight of your attention. They sense importance, even intimidation. And when you pause before speaking, your words echo with gravity. Imagine being in a meeting. Everyone's rushing, pitching, interrupting. Then you, calm, silent, poised, take your time. You look around the room before responding. The silence stretches. Now every eye is on you. When you finally speak, even the simplest words sound like authority. Don't rush to respond. Let silence frame your thoughts in gold. Lesson 4: The Psychology of Emotional Neutrality. There's a reason generals, interrogators, and leaders practice a stone face. It's not emotionless, it's controlled emotion. Psychologists call it effective restraint. The ability to regulate your visible emotions regardless of what you feel inside. When you stay neutral, you become unreadable. And when people can't read you, they can't manipulate you. Machiavelli warned, "Never show all your cards." Men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities. Those who expose anger or fear too quickly become predictable. Predictable means controllable. In contrast, the man or woman who stays calm under pressure commands respect even from enemies. Remember Barack Obama during high-stakes debates? He didn't shout. He paused, smiled slightly, and spoke slowly. That's not charisma. That's psychological control disguised as calm. Be the calm in the chaos. Your stillness unsettles the unsteady. Lesson 5: The Art of Non-Reaction. Most people are slaves to reaction. An insult, a rumor, a look, and they explode. But the powerful? They let the world throw stones. and they don't flinch. Robert Greene wrote, "By refusing to react, you confuse and infuriate your enemies. Your non-reaction creates a mirror effect. People project their guilt, their fear, their weakness onto your silence. They start overthinking. They start doubting themselves. When someone tries to provoke you, don't argue. Don't explain. Simply look at them. Let the silence do the talking. Because in that stillness, their words start to sound hollow. Your silence is not weakness. It's a weapon sharpened by discipline." Lesson 6. Speak only with intent. Every word you say must serve a purpose: to inform, to command, or to influence, never to fill space. Machiavelli believed that rulers should speak less and act more, because words, once released, can't be taken back. But silence can always be broken with precision. Historical example. Think of Queen Elizabeth I. In her reign, every public statement was measured, deliberate, rehearsed. She mastered the balance between being seen and being mysterious. Her silence often terrified her advisors, because they never knew where she truly stood. Power is not in the volume of speech, but in the weight of meaning. Let your words be rare, and they will be remembered. You see, silence isn't about muting yourself. It's about directing energy, conserving your words for maximum effect, and letting the quiet moments amplify your presence. But there's another layer, a darker, deeper reason silence makes you powerful. It's not just psychological, it's biological. Lesson 7. Silence rewires the mind for power. Science reveals what philosophers already knew. When you embrace silence, your brain changes. In 2013, neuroscientists at Duke University discovered that 2 hours of complete silence per day led to new cell growth in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for learning, memory, and emotional regulation. In other words, silence literally makes you smarter and more self-controlled. When you strip away noise, your mind sharpens. You stop reacting to every stimulus, every opinion, every notification. You regain sovereignty over your own attention. This is what Machiavelli meant by knowing yourself before ruling others. Most people drown in noise, social media, gossip, meaningless opinions, and wonder why they feel anxious and powerless. But those who cultivate inner stillness, they become dangerous, not because they speak loudly, but because they think deeply. In silence, your mind becomes your kingdom. Protect it and rule it with precision. Lesson 8. The power of detachment. Silence is also a form of emotional detachment, a distance that allows you to see reality without distortion. Carl Jung called this the withdrawal of projection. It's when you stop reacting from wounded ego and start observing with clarity. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means you care strategically. You choose what deserves your emotion and what doesn't. When someone attacks you verbally, your ego wants to fight. But your higher self, it observes, analyzes, and chooses silence, because it knows silence unsettles more than words ever could. Historical reflection. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor. While facing betrayal, war, and loss, he remained composed. He wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of psychological dominance. To remain still when others shake. To remain silent when others scream. To remain calculating when others crumble. Detach from noise. Observe without reacting. That is how you become untouchable. Lesson 9. The dark psychology of presence. There's a reason silent people command rooms. It's not magic, it's neural entrainment. Humans unconsciously mirror the emotional energy around them. If you enter a space calm, grounded, and silent, others begin to match your rhythm. This creates what psychologists call dominant presence, a form of nonverbal control that shifts group dynamics without saying a word. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that rulers must project maestà, an aura of dignity and seriousness that makes others cautious in their presence. When you speak less and observe more, people feel your focus on them. They sense intensity, they respect it, or fear it. Your silence radiates strength. Walk into rooms like your calm is the loudest sound there. Lesson 10. The silence of strategy. Every battle, mental, social, or political, is won through information control. And silence is the most underrated weapon in that war. In strategy, the side that knows more wins, but the side that reveals less survives. When you don't show your next move, people can't counter it. When you don't reveal emotion, enemies can't exploit it. When you don't explain your plans, others can't sabotage them. Historical example. During World War II, General Eisenhower mastered strategic quiet. He concealed his plans for D-Day through deliberate misinformation. Silence dressed as confusion. The result? A surprise invasion that changed history. Silence isn't just stillness. It's camouflage. Guard your plans like treasure. Reveal them only through decisive action. Lesson 11. The quiet confidence that commands fear. There's a unique kind of fear that comes from someone who's unshakably calm. It's not aggression. It's certainty. People are unsettled by those who don't flinch, don't explain, and don't need validation. Because silence implies self-sufficiency, a psychological independence that makes others feel exposed. You've likely seen this. In a confrontation, one person yells, defends, justifies. The other remains silent, composed, observant. Who looks stronger? Always the silent one. That's not weakness. That's dominance through emotional mastery. Robert Greene wrote, "Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more common you appear. You don't need to prove your power. Your silence proves it for you." Lesson 12. Turn silence into magnetic authority. Silence is not passive, it's magnetic. It draws people in because it creates contrast in a world addicted to noise. When you master the balance of silence and speech, every word becomes a signal. Every glance becomes a statement. The ancient samurai called this mushin, the state of no mind, where emotion and ego vanish, leaving only pure awareness and precision. When you move from this place, you no longer speak to impress. You speak to impact. Watch interviews with leaders like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, or Keanu Reeves. They pause. They think. They let silence breathe between words. That's what makes them compelling. Not what they say, but how little they need to. Let silence become your gravity. Make people lean in to hear you, not pull away to escape you. By now, you understand that silence isn't absence. It's energy. It's not weakness. It's a force multiplier. But there's one final truth, the one Machiavelli himself hinted at, but never said directly. It's the secret reason silence separates the powerful from the powerless. And it has nothing to do with words, but with identity. Lesson 13. Silence redefines your identity. The most powerful shift silence brings is not how others see you, but how you see yourself. When you become comfortable with silence, you stop chasing validation. You stop needing to be seen, heard, or approved of. And that's when your sense of power becomes internal, not borrowed. Most people define themselves through feedback, likes, reactions, praise, attention. They exist only when others notice them. But silence cuts that dependency. When you detach from noise, you begin to experience what ancient Stoics called ataraxia, a calm unbotheredness born from self-sufficiency. Machiavelli might have described it as autonomy of the will, the ability to move through life guided by your own compass, not the crowd's applause. You owe the world nothing but your discipline. Your silence is proof that you no longer seek permission to exist. Lesson 14. Silence creates psychological distance. In every social hierarchy, distance creates power. The king sits above the crowd. The general stands apart from the soldiers. And the truly wise remain a mystery even to their closest allies. This distance isn't arrogance. It's structure. It ensures that respect and influence don't dissolve into overfamiliarity. When you're always available, always talking, always explaining, people forget your value. But when you create deliberate distance, your presence begins to feel scarce. Scarcity breeds respect. Respect breeds obedience. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers to avoid being too familiar. He wrote, Men are less careful how they offend one who makes himself loved than one who makes himself feared. It's not about cruelty, it's about maintaining psychological elevation. The greatest leaders, from Marcus Aurelius to modern CEOs, don't explain every decision. They communicate with clarity, but never overexposure. They let their silence imply command. Withdraw often. Speak rarely. Your distance multiplies your value. Lesson 15: The Silence of Mastery. At the highest level of power, silence is no longer strategy, it's nature. You've seen this in masters of every field. The martial artist who moves with calm precision. The billionaire who answers in a single sentence. The philosopher who pauses before every thought. They've transcended the need to prove themselves, because true mastery speaks for itself. Machiavelli hinted at this truth when he said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel." In other words, power doesn't shout. It radiates through composure, through subtlety, through control. Silence becomes your proof of confidence, because those who truly know no longer need to say, "Mastery doesn't speak, it moves." Let your silence become the sound of certainty. If you've come this far, you already feel the pull of silence inside you. You're beginning to see how every careless word leaks energy, how every reaction exposes weakness, and how stillness becomes your strongest weapon in a chaotic world. Silence teaches 3 timeless truths of power. 1. Control the flow of information. Speak less, observe more. Those who know more dominate those who reveal more. 2. Master emotional neutrality. The one who can stay calm when others lose control always wins. 3. Command through mystery and presence. When people cannot predict you, they must respect you. They must tread carefully around your silence. Machiavelli never said power belonged to the loud. He said it belonged to the calculating. To those who appear calm while others burn with noise and chaos. The loud crave validation. The silent command attention. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, defend, or prove, pause, breathe. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Because every moment you withhold a word, you reclaim a piece of power. And one day people will realize, your silence was never emptiness. It was strategy. Be silent. Be feared. Be powerful. Not because you seek control over others, but because you have mastered control over yourself. In the end, silence is not about muting the world. It's about tuning in to the deeper intelligence within you. The part that no one can manipulate, no one can predict, and no one can break. This is your transformation. This is your Machiavellian awakening. Stay silent. Stay disciplined. Stay dangerous.